Salute, my Quickclassics friends, and happy St. Patrick's Day to you on this March the 17th, 2021. It's your host, Dr. Judd Burton, and as always, if you like the content, please click a like and subscribe and share. I do appreciate the support. Now, most of you be familiar with St. Patty's Day in its kind of awkward Bacchic form in the States, but of course the day itself is an honoring of Patrick, St. Patrick, who helped to missionize Ireland in the 5th century AD. And today's episode is entitled How the Irish Saved the Classics, and Patrick is part of that story insofar as that he did help to missionize the Irish people. Now, all this takes place in the backdrop of the 5th century AD and the decline and fall of the Western Roman Empire. Now, a number of years ago, 10 years ago, in fact, when I was on a trip to Ireland, I read a book on the plane on the way there called How the Irish Saved Civilization. And it was about largely about this scholastic push to save these classics at the tipping point of the Western Empire and the beginning of the Dark Ages. Now, Patrick, so far as we can tell, was a real person. The hagiographical sources seem to bear that out. And um, interestingly enough, within a generation, the Christianized Irish began a tradition of monasticism and scholarly study that really puts them at the forefront of Hebrew, Greek, and Roman or Latin rather scholarship in that day, and they take to not only innovative translation in the biblical material, the Hebrew and the Greek material, but also the classical material, the Greek and Roman literature, which, as Rome is dwindling in the West, is sort of being misplaced, destroyed, and so that it ends up on the peripheries of really European society during the so-called Dark Ages after the fall of the Western Empire. And so this value, this principle of scholarship amongst the Irish monks became a very important part of their faith, and they saw it as such. The copying and gathering and translation of all of these biblical classics, but also Greek and Roman classics, and they would each monastic community would have a library and a scriptorium for the purposes of copy and translation. And this is what's meant in the title of that little book, How the Irish Saved Civilization, because they saved, in many respects, the classics, and really begin this tradition of scholastic monasticism in the British Isles, of which later personages included the Venerable Bede, who wrote really the first comprehensive history of the English peoples, and later Alcuin of York, whom none other than Charlemagne hired to develop the curriculum for his palace schools. So all of that begins with Patrick and carries through in this warm, rich tradition of Celtic Christianity, namely the Irish monastic variety. And this becomes the venue in which all of this material is preserved for posterity, for us, not just in the Renaissance, but in our own day and age. And so there's definitely a good case to be made for the very pivotal and central role that the Irish played in saving the classics, in saving Western civilization, if you want to couch it in those terms. So I just thought that I would make this short video on how the Irish helped us save the classics for you and me, and you yourself can get involved in the study of the classics, namely New Testament and Ancient Greek. I'm offering a special this week, the stimulus package, stimulus check, uh, for $300. You get the Rudiments of New Testament Greek course, plus your choice of one of the three certifications, Biblical Anthropology, Biblical Demonology, or Preternatural Morphology, and you also get an ebook library. So that's about a $650 value for 300 bucks. That's pretty hard to beat, particularly for a language course, because uh, you're going to be paying hundreds upon hundreds of dollars for per semester hour for a language course, whether it's modern or ancient. So I would invite you all to become students, come study with me at the Institute of Biblical Anthropology, and we'll all dip our toes into the classics and become familiar with those sources that the Irish, on the fringes of European civilization, uh, were so instrumental in helping to save and preserve and to pass along. Okay, I'll see you in the next Quick Classics, and again, happy St. Patrick's Day. Godspeed.